So hello everybody. So welcome to this lecture in which we are going to discuss about the high level power estimation techniques. So in the last lecture we had discussed the low level power estimation techniques and we could actually see the inefficiency or of these low level techniques, though these are the mature ones, but still they were inefficient in modeling the power consumption of the circuits on the complex circuits, I should say, at which the fabrication technology is today. Okay, and the biggest drawback apart from the speed, accuracy, and all those issues was that it did not give the estimation or it did not allow the power estimation to happen at the early stages of design. So these could not work well there, and that made the process of modification or optimizing the power a very difficult process, because at the later stages getting the power estimation and then trying to reduce or optimize it was not practically feasible when we are talking about such large designs as today. So this led to the need or the exploration of another set of techniques which are closer to the higher level or the system level. Okay, so the high level power estimation techniques or the high level power estimation simulators, they came into picture. They definitely allowed in early design space exploration from the power consumption perspective, and the two main, though different type of these there are models are there, but we are going to talk about instruction level power analysis and the function level power analysis. So in this case the architecture uh, design level was used. So the not exactly, it was not at the system level, but still it was at a level higher than the RTA. So where instruction level analysis or the functional level analysis was taken into consideration. So it was more familiar, or it was more closer to SOC design methodology, because here the hardware and the software, they were coming together in the picture when we were talking about the power estimation. So power estimation was not only about use of the hardware. We knew that hardware, there were so many functionalities which were implemented in the software as well. So those things at least made higher level estimation closer to or more suitable to the SOC design methodology. Okay, so let's start with discussing the ILP and FLPA. So ILPA, that is the instruction level power analysis. In this, the power modeling was actually represented, or it was proposed by V. Tiwari. So different modifications have been there, different high level languages have been proposed, not languages, high level models have been proposed in the research over the time. But this process was first at the initial level introduced by V. Tiwari et al. And that was using the Intel DX486 processor, in which it was implemented and shown. So which is again quite an old version of the processor we are talking about. So in this methodology, it was proposed that by measuring the current drawn by the processor, as it repeatedly executes the different instructions or functions, it is possible to obtain most of the information that is required to evaluate the power consumption of a program for the processor and the test. So what does this actually mean? So this means that we could actually uh, try to, for let's say, if there is a right process or there is a right operation being performed. So it's said that by repeatedly monitoring or measuring the current which is drawn in the right process, we could get an insight into what is the average power which is drawn by this particular process in the right process. Similarly, it could be done for the read operation or other operations which are happening in the system from the processor point of view. So before the actual power calculation, so these things they were used to build the reference tables, and these reference tables they could be generated. But again, As the complexity of the system was increasing, it became time consuming to build such kind of tables and then implement. Okay, so power model is then modeled as a base cost for each instruction and its inter instruction overheads that depend upon the next instructions. Okay, so the base cost of an instruction can be considered as the cost which is associated with the basic processing needed. Okay, and when it is switching from one operation to another, then what is the change in the current run that could be used to estimate the bar in the inter process switchover which is taking place. So it was able to give the rough estimate of the power consumption in a system. So normally, though this system was able to give an insight from the functional point of view, but here there were certain situations or circumstances which were not measured. Suppose there is a CPU stall due to pipelining, or there is a write buffer stall. So there is some way stalling is leading to the empty space, the pipeline. That is not being measured. Again, if there is a cache miss, that is not going to be measured. So the switching activity on the average, if it is going smooth, that can be measured. But if there is a change in any two successive instructions with reference to the bit patterns, that could not be measured. So it means there were certain circumstances or certain conditions in the circuit which are bound to occur in the circuit, but they are not in the expected flow. And those things, they were not measured accurately or they were not modeled using ILPA. So the next system which was proposed was, or the next model which was proposed was the functional level power analysis. It was introduced by J. Laurent. So the basic idea of this methodology was to identify the set of functional blocks that influence the power consumption of the target component. For example, if there is a processing unit, so we could see that it could be the power consumption with the memory access, when it is going to access memory, when it is going to access any peripheral, when it is using the system bus, when it is going to use a USB port. So these things, they could be measured with respect to the functional units they were existing in the circuit or the design. So in addition to these parameters, there are certain other parameters also that affect the power consumption in the same manner as the operating frequency and the word length of the input data. So this model is normally represented by a set of analytical functions or a table of consumption values, which depend upon the functional as well as the architectural parameters. Okay, so once the model is built, the estimation process is simply extracting the rate parameter and injecting those parameters to the model and getting the values of estimated power. So we'll just try to see, this is the brief uh, way, the brief insight into how this FLP is going to work. So there is the function of the operation which has to take place, and there is the architecture which is there. Okay, and this is a power model which is being built. Okay, so that may be any analytical model or that may be making use of any table. Okay, for the references. So what is happening is, whenever there is a any functionality is being exercised, okay, so we see that, okay, if there is a read operation, so we see that memory block, it is going to affect the processor, and we see with respect to the memory block, that access of the memory, how much power it is going to. So these input and these parameters, they are given to the power model, and since this model is already working on a set of relationship between those parameters, it is going to work out to give me the estimated value of the power based upon its body. Okay, so this is how it is going to work. So these were, though good methods as compared to the low level methods, And though high level modeling research was quite active even till the last decade, but still these simulation based approaches, they were not suitable for the non-deterministic system behavior. That is, when the system behavior is not predictable, then these were not very suitable. They were not able to give you the worst case scenario, rather they were working more on the average power consumption of the circuit. So it could not measure what was the worst case scenario of the circuit, and that was not well going well with the trends of increasing complexity. So this led to another set of methods, that is the analytical methods, and some of the analytical methods like spreadsheets and the event stream based models, they are uh, they have been used recently, but description based approaches were also encouraged. So if I talk about the current scenario, the transaction level modeling is what is quite successful and being actively employed. So let's first see what are these analytical methods. So as the name suggests, the analytical methods, they are the methods which are based on certain analysis. Okay. So advantage of these analytical methods were that they do not rely on the executable system model. So they are not talking about how the system is being executed in the terms of the functional units or in the terms of the instructions. Okay. In general, their power estimation speed is definitely higher than the high level and rather I should say the simulation based methods, but they take into account the worst case scenario. So they may be pessimistic approaches, but they led to a more reliable delivery of the SOC. Okay, so they are specially suitable for the systems which are critical in nature, in which the power consumption, it is very critical to the operation and the reliability. So one such method is event stream based method and the other is spreadsheet method. So I will just introduce and I'll try to take one example to tell you how they are going to work. So if we talk about the event stream based models, they are in this method, the estimation relies on evaluating the task execution on shared resources for event streams like periodic events. Okay. So what it meant was, so whenever any operation is being performed, so in the terms of the that okay, there is a stream of events. Let's say there is a read operation, then there is going to be a write operation, then it is going to be a memory access operation. So as a chain of events, your execution is being implemented on the shared resources. Okay, so one such example was the queuing theory or the network calculus, which is there. Okay, for the power estimation and even for modeling the contention. So let's say if there is multitasking or two peripherals are going to access, so that may lead to bus contention. So these kind of scenarios, which were the worst case scenarios, they were taken into consideration when there was a chain of events or chain of stream of events which could follow when any particular operation is performed. So the another method is your spreadsheet way of prediction. Spreadsheets, they were very useful in the early stages of design process when the initial planning is going and not many important decisions regarding the design model they have to be taken. So one of the biggest advantages of the spreadsheet methods is that the user does not really know to learn any complexity or complex tool for taking the decisions. So let's see how it works. I'll just take example of Texas Instrument K2E device family, which is a family of decisional signal processes, which is in which the power is estimated using the spreadsheet. Now this method is particularly very useful when your power consumption it is going to vary with the operations or the activity which is going to be there. So we don't know how much usage is practically. The real scenario we don't know, but we know that the power consumption is strongly dependent upon that. So highly application dependent, I should say. So it helps in that and it gives us the worst case scenario for that. So in this first case, first thing is an activity based model is built for the power consumption, in which the power consumption is divided into two categories. First is the baseline power, another is the dynamic power. When I say baseline power, it means it is going to involve all the architecture and the functional uh, things of your system, units or the components of the system, which are always in the on logic state. Okay. Let's say your system bus is definitely going to be on in the on stages. Okay. Plus your device leakage power is definitely going to be existing at all stages. So these are contributed automatically and taken into account. Okay. Then we come to the other part, that is the dynamic part. Dynamic part takes into consideration all the active components which may be used at one time and may not be used at the other time. In this case, the case scenario is accounted by taking, okay, if there is a worst case, let's see three of the peripherals they are trying to get access. So then what? Okay, so all these things they are taken into consideration, and according to when a device is enabled or when a component is enabled, then its power is taken into consideration. And the number of parameters they are made in the spreadsheet, like frequency, modes, what what frequency it is going to work on, what modes in which the system is going to work on, what is the status of the all components and peripherals, what is the percentage utilization in the terms of the maximum utilization which is going to be there. So this gives a good estimate of individual functional unit and even the individual architectural unit power consumption. So I know that okay, if memory and my USB they are going to work together, then what? If my GSM module is going to work together, then what? So I have a fair insight into the how much power is individually captured by the architecture system, that is the bus or the connecting system, and the unit in itself. So that was one way of estimating. But again, that requires building of the spreadsheet prediction. It has to take these values from the existing implementations, and based on that, the next future estimations they can be built. So this is how your spreadsheet prediction it is working. So as I told you, this is one of the methods which are used, which are employed. Rather, the K2E estimation what I have discussed with you, it was presented by TI in 2017. Okay. But still that time, the lack of a system level accurate modeling was still felt. So the more descriptive based approach was introduced, in which the cycle accurate methods and the transaction level modeling methods they were introduced. So cycle accurate methods, what happens is we assume that in this abstraction level the number of cycles which are required to perform any particular task that is accurate. So we measure the power consumption in the terms of cycles which are there. So that requires the modeling of the system in the terms of number of cycles which it takes to perform different operations or different communications. And in the TLM based model, it is at a much higher level than RTL abstraction, where the transaction it is independent of the units. It is transaction means there is exchange of information which is between the two units. Okay, so about this, TLM is one way of modeling which can be used for power as well as the system level activities. So we'll study about these transition level modeling in more detail in our next lecture. So with this we wind up our lecture on power estimation and modeling in SOC. Thank you everybody.